everyone. Happy Music Monday. How are you doing? We have, let's see, I always forget to do this right before and probably pronounce your last name wrong, but Anthony Labriola?
Nailed it.
Yes. All right. Cool.
It's okay. I grew up with kids calling me Anthony Ravioli, so it could be
Oh,
worse.
oh boy. So you have a lot of things you got going on. So first, our connection of Jackknife Stiletto recorded the "Calling All the Creeps" music video at the Long Island Puppet Theater, which you are the puppet master at, which
Yeah.
is pretty awesome. You have a horror podcast, and you also read tarot cards, and I'm sure you have a lot of other things going on. So if I forgot anything, why don't you let everyone know what you got going on?
I mean, yeah, those are the main things. Having you guys record at the theater was probably one of the coolest experiences. Apart from that stuff, I have the Long Island International Film Expo, which I'm a part of organizing every year, currently open for submissions, and Scared for Your Life, which is the horror-only branch of that film festival, which we just wrapped in October. But those are my babies.
Awesome. That's really cool. And if I'm correct or not, were we the last thing that went on in the puppet theater?
You were. Unfortunately, we had to close during the pandemic. But just before everything went down, I got to have you guys come in and record the music video for Calling All the Creeps. Yeah, everything was kind of getting quiet around then, and then it was the perfect time really to just have that happen. Didn't have anything else going on there. Yeah.
Yeah. So the funny thing about that was that we were supposed to come back and actually play a show there a few weeks later, which didn't end up happening. But so we brought a lot of random shit to the theater. And somehow, within all the bags that we had, and this has been going on for like over a year now, there was a picture of a donkey with Santa that ended up in one of our bags. And Roxy's been keeping it safe for the past year and a half. And we've been asking everyone on this chat if they know if it's a donkey or something else. Can you explain that photo? And do you know which photo we're talking about?
Oh, absolutely. I love that photo. If you look closely, it is signed by Santa, so
Oh,
hang on to that magic. It is in fact a reindeer. There is the real Santa Claus on Long Island. He's doing a bunch of events right now. He will be at Old Bethpage Village Restoration. I got to read Santa's tarot cards at another event, and
oh,
Santa gave me that photo, and we took a photo together with our good friend Mr. Pop and Twist, Long Island's best balloon artist, in my opinion.
nice. That's great. So yeah, so that photo is being kept safe at the at Roxy's house.
Love
Mel's in the chat. She says she knows Santa as well.
Awesome. Hey,
Mel. Yeah, Mel just had tonsil surgery, so she won't be talking for a while. But oh wait, what was my other thing with that? So it is a reindeer.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, because we've had people, I thought it was more of like a Dominic the Donkey type of thing. So in like a Seinfeld episode, we had this plan to put the photo back at the show that we were going to play, and I feel like it was just like one of those things where it's like, oh, we have to replace the photo and make sure it gets back there because they don't know it's missing yet. And I believe Roxy did a deep dive on your website and actually saw where it was placed before we moved everything, and we thought we put everything back.
That's so funny. I'm glad it's in good hands.
Yeah, so it's in good hands. It's it sits at her desktop at her desk every day, and she looks at it and admires it. So yeah, so what is happening with the theater? Did that building get sold? Like, what happens to that building?
So somebody else did end up renting the building, totally gutted and renovated it. That was heartbreaking. I would go by and see them doing everything. I think it's all white right now. Having
Uh-huh.
said that, it used to be the red and white candy stripes.
Right.
But yeah, now it's all white. Um, so we don't have the venue, but during the pandemic, I did a few online performances. Um, and just sort of finding ways to rebuild and rebrand, but everything is in storage right now. So, like the whole theater, all the like gilded wood and stage pieces, all the puppets, they're all packed away and they have been for the last 2 years.
Oh man. That must be an interesting if like someone ever found that on like Storage Wars and opened up that storage container or something like that would
Think
be
about that a lot.
that would be pretty funny.
Like you watch those things, and you're like, how does stuff like this just get abandoned? But I mean, my stuff has been sitting in storage for 2 years now, and I
Wow.
don't even remember what's in some of the boxes. It's going to be a real nostalgia trip whenever I get to reopen that.
Right. And then so next on the list is you have a horror podcast. So why don't you explain yourself on that? What's it about?
So our horror podcast is the Hauntsville Cryptcast. It is myself, one of my best friends, Doza, and my girlfriend Anna. We started it after going to see the 2018 Halloween movie, and we just had too many opinions, and we were sitting in the theater talking about them up until the point where the people cleaning the theater came to be like, "Hey, you guys have to go." So, like anyone else in our generation, we were like, "Oh, we should start a podcast on this."
Right.
So we started off with an episode about Halloween, and we're just like, okay, this is just fun, something for us to do to always talk about horror. Um, started uploading to Spotify, started our Instagram, and it just sort of picked up faster than we thought that it would. We started to get some pretty good responses to it, and then we started to get the opportunity to interview some people in the horror community. Sorry, just got a little bit of a cough. I'm trying to keep it stifled. Yeah, it just started out as something fun, and now our podcast is one of the sponsors of the Scared Light Film Festival. So we're trying to keep our hand in the horror community, directly working with filmmakers, making sure that horror is alive and well in more than just the Hollywood blockbuster sense.
Nice. That's awesome. So are you doing it weekly or
We were doing it monthly for a little while. Then our schedules got weird. Anna is in England, so it's a little bit difficult for us to keep up with the time zone differences and what's current and making sure that we get something out each month in a timely fashion while it's still relevant.
Mhm.
So we're on a little bit of a hiatus right now, but as soon as we get back into it, we've got some fun episodes planned. We try not to do anything that's super like current and then will be dated as soon as that's done.
Right.
So we've done things like the history of cults and horror. We did an episode that I don't think ever aired, but we did a bunch of dog math. Those that came up with an algorithm to figure out which dogs in horror are the best dogs.
Oh, which one is it? Or we don't know yet.
I forget where we landed on that. I know Cujo is top tier. Cujo is a good boy. I think the dog from The Thing or the dog from The Fly, because they were both too innocent for their own good, were in our top ranks.
Nice. I guess is there also like, the when there's like little kids in the creepy Halloween movies?
We
I
did a
feel
whole
like
separate episode on kids in horror.
right, I feel like that should be another one because there's always like a little girl in the corner being weird and you're like, what is happening? She's possessed.
Yeah. We took into account like Children of the Corn. My God, what is that movie? I just rewatched it. Village of the Damned. And obviously, you get into things like Orphan, where it's like, does she still count?
Right. Mhm. Yeah. The possessed girl is super happy fun land. Here we go. There was so we played another interesting building was a place in Texas called Super Happy Funland, and it was just like there. You walked in and there was a wall of Raggedy Ann dolls,
Love that.
and then there was just like a room with like a pile of like fabric, and this little girl just like emerged from it, and I guess she lived there at the venue.
Okay.
Yeah, it was interesting.
It sounds like an awesome venue, though.
Yeah, it was definitely something.
Is that the weirdest venue that you played?
Probably, yeah. That's probably one of the top ones.
Would the
It's
puppet theater have been weirder if it happened?
maybe there was something like really like weird and like grungy. Like the puppet theater's like there was a lot of stuff going on, but it was clean. You know, this place was like we put a lot of stuff in here, and also just like have not touched it for like 15 years.
Okay.
And they were super nice. They're like, you could stay here and shower here, blah blah. We were like, I don't want to sit on those couches. Like, I wonder. I don't know if they're still open. They might still. I hope they're still open. Um. So I just want to say hello to everyone in the chat. If you have any questions or have a favorite horror movie, you know.
We talk about horror all day.
Yeah. See, I'm not like huge into horror films. I guess besides Jaws, would you consider that a horror film?
This is a bad take for me.
Okay.
Did an episode on Jaws. I respect it in the horror community. I think Jaws is more of a thriller than a horror movie. Not to discredit thriller as a genre, which I think a lot of people are quick to do.
Okay.
Hot take though, Jaws is a western.
Is a what?
Jaws is a western.
What is that?
So all the beat points of Jaws
Uh-huh.
parallel the traditional beat points of a Western film, where like the outlaw comes to town, makes some trouble for the townsfolk. They have a council meeting. The sheriff elects a weird posse of people to spend the rest of the movie in outlaw territory. The outlaws get the upper hand, and sure enough, the sheriff and some of the posse come back heroes.
All right. Yeah, that is true.
So I'm going to go to my grave calling Jaws a Western.
Okay.
Die alone on this hill.
Or I guess a northeastern, since it's up there in Cape Cod area.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I would really consider it a horror, even though some people have put it in the horror thing. But as like watching it forever, I wouldn't say that's a horror movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess thriller's a good genre for that.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's moving the whole way through. Jurassic Park is a thriller.
I also wouldn't say that's a horror movie.
Yeah.
But also a great one. Let's see where. Oh, do you have a favorite non-horror horror movie?
Non-horror horror movie. Like a movie that shouldn't be horror or isn't horror but has some real horrific instances in it.
Oh, maybe. Do you have an idea of that?
Willy Wonka is a weird time. And literally murders children in the course of that movie. So, like, it's a horror movie, but he sings that song in the tunnel, and all that happens. So, I'm going to say Willy Wonka.
Okay, yeah. I guess that'd be, like, really any Disney movie as well.
Yeah, Black Cauldron is a rough watch when you're, like, 7 years old.
Yeah, I don't know if I could think of like a non-horror horror-ish movie, but I totally get that with Willy Wonka, like the original one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think I saw the newer one, but yeah, I guess if I watch it now, it'll probably be really creepy. Yeah, and you don't think of it.
You're a kid watching it, but then as you get older, you're like, Also, Grandpa Joe might have been the villain of that movie.
Who?
Grandpa Joe.
Ah, yes.
I mean, he's the reason that him and Charlie almost lose it. He just couldn't resist the fizzy lifting drink. He's bedridden all this time, and all of a sudden, he just takes a bar of candy and he's magically healed.
He's walking, no problem.
He's dancing.
Yeah. Do you prefer gore or a psych thriller or other?
I would definitely lean more towards psychological thriller and horror over gore. I think a lot of movies tend to just lean into gore and be like, yes, this is scary. Here is a beheading or something. Um, I mean, even just tracking the Saw franchise, the first movie is awesome.
I was gonna say Saw is really the only like horror-ish movies I like watched, like maybe the first like 3 or 4.
Yeah,
And really like them.
trilogy.
Yeah.
But it's all psychological. You get his story and why he's doing this, and like, yeah, it's got a little bit of gore, but then from 5 onward, it's just a gore fest, and we start to lose that story and what's going on.
Right. Isn't that like a good villain though, if you could kind of understand them, right?
Yeah,
Like
almost like
Thanos.
too relatable.
Right. Like I think Thanos is like a really great villain.
Yeah, I like that they've given him this sort of motive rather than like his comic book motive where he's just trying to impress death.
Mhm. Let's see. Are you a fan of remakes?
I think every remake has its place. I think we've gotten a little gratuitous with them. Not everything needs to be remade, um, but I like a remake that sort of either adds something to the franchise or makes it easier for new people to get into the older works. I know a lot of people aren't crazy about Michael Bay's 2003 Texas Chainsaw Massacre with Jessica Biel. But I love it because I think it ties a little bit together of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1 and 2 and gives people a reason to be curious about the whole of the franchise.
Mhm. Yeah, that's true. Hey, have you seen the new Ghostbusters?
I loved it. I cried.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those.
Yeah. They just did it so tastefully and they paid homage to the original and the fans in all the right ways without getting too campy and over the top and still gave us a new story. Where, like, I'm kind of excited to see where this goes. I'll watch a second one.
Right. Yeah. As did you like say Ghostbusters 2 and then I guess it wasn't a third one, but the female Ghostbusters, which I haven't seen.
I haven't seen it either. I like the idea that it's a parallel universe. I think that's an interesting take.
Yeah.
My girlfriend is huge on Ghostbusters, and apparently the video game is the canonical third movie tie-in. And there's a couple of nods to the video game in Afterlife.
Oh, which video game?
I think it came out for like the PlayStation 2 or something.
Okay. All right. I was thinking, I was like, I feel faintly remember maybe there was one for like Super Nintendo, but I don't remember that. But maybe not.
There could have been.
I don't know. Sega. Well, are you a video game person?
I don't get to play as much as I'd like to.
Mhm.
So I've latched on to like a few video games in particular. And I'm like, this is what I have now. Um, I got really into Dead by Daylight, which is just hide and seek horror movies, the video game. They got a bunch of the classic slashes licenses. So that one's a lot of fun.
Yeah. What do we got here? I like that filmmakers are continuing stories rather than remaking movies. I also like that
Absolutely.
as well. Yeah.
I would much rather that. And I think the new Chucky series on Sci-Fi is the perfect example of that. They decided not to reboot this series, which has easily gone off the rails, but instead Chucky just continues it, and it ups Chucky's body count, and it's fun, it's fast, and it still fits all the themes and ideas of the originals.
Nice. Yeah, I never watched the original Chucky, and the commercials just creep me out for the new ones.
They do a good job with it. Haunted doll is a hard concept to take seriously as somebody who has over 200 puppets.
Yeah. So you have a lot of cool stuff you got in the background. Um, so do you have? I guess a bunch of masks you have up there,
Yeah,
right? That's pretty
uh,
awesome.
that's all the like vintage styled horror masks.
Nice.
I still have all of the Venetian masks from the theater, but they're packed away. So horror memorabilia on that shelf.
Nice.
Sorry.
Is
Uh,
there a place that you like to get these masks from?
yeah, almost all. I'm dyslexic. Almost all of those are from Spirit Halloween.
Oh, okay, cool.
Over the last couple of years, they've released maybe 3 or 4 vintage Halloween masks, and they just keep going back and making sure I update the collection. The 2 rabbits
Uh-huh.
there and there, those are handmade masks from the 50s. I used to have them inside the theater. They're super creepy. They're paper mache. I love them.
Nice. Yeah. Do you have a favorite, maybe a collectible that you have of
Hmm.
your horror collection there?
Tough call. I had. Oh, I do.
Okay.
I love Evil Dead. It's probably one of my favorite of the horror series. Ash vs. the Evil Dead is another great continuation of this without doing a remake. In Ash vs. the Evil Dead, Ash's chainsaw hand gets replaced with a puppet called Ashy Slashy.
Mm,
I do have the Ashy Slashy puppet somewhere in
nice.
my closet. That's got to be one of my favorites.
That's great. Awesome. What is your favorite horror monster or creature?
There's so many good ones. I would probably have to say either the creature in the void, which is just this like cosmic brain beast. It's all practical effects. It's beautiful. It's slimy. Or the creature from The Ritual, which I think is streaming on Netflix right now, which is basically like this giant deer beast, but when you get a closer look at it, the antlers and the mouth are made of people.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That's super weird. What about zombies?
I
And
love it.
also, do you like slow or fast zombies?
That's an important question. Oh man. Love a good zombie movie or series. I got really into The Walking Dead for a while. I think
Yeah.
there's something more menacing about slower zombies. But realistically, if a zombie came running at me at the speed that like a 28 Days Later zombie came at me,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I would make it.
Yeah. Yeah. I've tried watching The Walking Dead a few times, and I've gotten like up to the second season, and then I like lose interest.
That's where everybody dips off, but I think that's my favorite season.
I have to get through the second, I think. As
Yeah,
long as I could get through that.
because after the second, you get the governor, who is one of the best villains. But the second one is like very people heavy, which I get like you're tuning into a show about zombies. You want to see some zombie carnage.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't get that a lot in the second season. The second season is all like tension between people, which I think
Right.
is the most interesting part of some of these zombie series. How do we adapt? You know, what does it mean to be one of the people still living?
Right. Yeah. Because that's crazy. What about vampires?
Vampires are literally killing me right now.
With the thing.
I am in the middle of writing a sort of pulp horror vampire story for this publication that I've submitted to a couple times. They're asking for about 40 pages. And I'm like, I have nothing new to add to the vampire genre. It's just been done to death. but the ones that are out there are just so good. Lost Boys is a classic. I love the sort of grungy punk rock vampire thing that they've got going on there. And Only Lovers Left Alive, I think, is one of the most human vampire movies I've seen, where it just focuses on like what it means to be immortal and how that sort of fades after a couple hundred years.
Right.
And it's Tilda Swinton and Tom Hiddleston. You can't go wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you ever see Supernatural?
I love Supernatural.
Okay, good. Me too.
Supernatural's a fun ride.
Did you finish it?
I didn't finish it. I'm like 2 or 3 seasons behind, I think.
Oh, okay. Nice. Are you gonna finish it? Or are you like forgot? No.
It's just so like, not that I've forgotten, but with so many things available for streaming and like
It gets lost.
kind of shut in for the last 2 years, there's just an infinite amount of things to binge watch.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Supernatural is definitely one of them that I was behind on for years and finally caught up right when they were putting the last season out. And then they had to stop filming, so they released like some episodes and then resumed filming and then released the last, their ending, a few months later. But I was like just at that point where I was like, I'll wait until they release everything just to binge it all.
Yeah, I probably should have done that because when I was watching it and then like going back to the CW to watch it, it's just falling off the rails left and right.
Yeah, but at least now it's all done.
Okay.
Yeah, I liked how they ended it too. They did a good job with the ending.
I'm interested to see what they do because we've already met God a handful of times.
Right.
The Scooby-Doo crossover is perfection.
Yeah, that's a great episode. Even if like someone doesn't know the show, I think that's like a good episode to be like, hey, just check this show out, watch the Scooby-Doo episode.
Yeah.
Because they did a great job with that. Yeah. And I think I was trying to watch a new series with the guy that's Dean Winchester.
Yes.
The Boys.
Yes.
But I didn't finish it yet, so.
Am I caught up on The Boys?
I think he's in that.
I like The Boys. The Boys is good.
Yeah, it is a good one. Are you a Sam or Dean guy?
I was like super like Team Sam in the beginning, and then as the series went on and Dean started to like let his guard down more, I was like, yep, I'm here for Dean. And then they introduced Castiel into the picture.
Yes.
I'm all gas.
I have a great magnet of Castiel on my fridge that I wonder if I could pull up the quote on here so I don't have to get up and get the thing. But it's just like the funniest. It just explains him. That it just explains him in a like, okay, if the pizza man truly loves his babysitter, why does he keep slapping her rear?
I like almost to a T remember that scene, that episode.
He's probably my favorite character, and that's like that line just explains why, because he would just say things like that are so like he just doesn't get, I love
the trope of like supernatural beings discovering human culture.
Right.
It's fun at all the weird things that we accept as normal.
Yeah, exactly. I find that in any series or movies when they have that happen is like really funny. Let's see. Oh wait, we have other questions here. If anyone has more questions, feel free to throw them in. Let's do it. If you were in a horror movie, would you be the killer, the first to die, or the survivor?
If my experience in playing Dead by Daylight has taught me anything, I'm probably the first to die. I probably make a lot of wrong moves. I used to always get caught first in Manhunt when I was a kid, too. Don't think I'm cut out for, like, actual horrors.
Yeah. But would it be fun to be the villain, though?
I don't know if I could do it.
Right. Yeah. There's that, too. But if you had to.
If I had to, I think I'd get creative with it. I don't know if I'd get as, like, Jigsaw creative or,
right.
like, Leatherface, like bottom tier creative, or like I don't know, somewhere in between there.
I just like this comment, vampires, but this time they're just 1 inch tall.
Terrifying. It's like mosquitoes, but a little bit bigger.
Oh, nope.
The worst part of summer.
Yeah. So maybe let's go a little bit into the your tarot card reading thing. I've never had my tarot cards read, but if I were, as newbie, how would you explain it to someone that doesn't know?
First of all, I would
What to
love
do?
to read you if you are interested in that.
Cool.
We'll set that up.
Awesome.
I guess just explaining it to somebody for the first time, it's not what movies and TV crack it up to be. I'm not going to be able to tell you like, you know, how you're going to die or, the exact specifics of some of the things that are going to happen. I consider it like a roadmap. A lot of times, sorry.
Okay.
A lot of times it doesn't really tell you anything you don't already know, but it puts things in perspective and gives you advice on guidance on some of the options and possibilities that are before you. So it does provide a little bit of a roadmap there where it's like, you're going through this, and now me as a stranger who has no insight into this particular situation, I'm still able to pinpoint some specific things about it and some specific people involved in it. So it's sort of that reassurance of you're not alone in this. Somebody on the outside can understand it, and these are some of the options and how they're going to unfold if you choose to pursue them. I always like to give a disclaimer that nothing in the future card is set in stone. You can make a decision 5 minutes, 5 months, 5 weeks from now that uproots everything that we talk about in the reading, but it's the most likely scenario based on what you're already doing.
Very cool. Are you doing virtual readings now, right?
I did start doing virtual through the pandemic. I had never done them before. I felt like it was a weird transition because there is this exchange of energy in the reading, and it's much easier to do when you're face to face and like actually touching the cards. But through a lot of meditation and just sort of energy working with my clients and taking an extra 10 minutes just to breathe and get into that mindset really helps with that energy exchange.
Very cool. Where can someone contact you to get a reading?
Right now, I'm taking most of my requests on Instagram and Facebook. So anybody can reach me there.
There.
At Alien Monster, reach me there anytime. I've got this awesome base of regular clients who I opened up to before I reopened my book for readings, and they've already booked me into the second week of January, which I could not be more grateful for.
Awesome.
And everything after that is all new clients, which I'm loving getting to know everybody and just loving the fact that people are willing to let me into this sort of vulnerable state in their lives.
Yeah. That's really cool. How awesome is that? And then did you do any I guess did you tarot were you a receiver of tarot card readings and that's how you got into it, or how did you like really find that and want to do it?
I got really into the spiritual side of things first, and I had a few mentors growing up who sort of taught me these different paths and got me a little bit deeper into it. Thanks for the follow. So my mentors really got me into the different things that are possible in this realm of spirituality. And one of them started showing me tarot readings and how they would do it. So I started learning from them, and they taught me their method of reading, and then just curiosity blew the doors wide open. I started reading every book on tarot reading that I could. I started watching other readers, and started looking at the artwork on the cards, which is my favorite part of the cards, and sort of created my own method of reading from all of that. And now I own more tarot decks than there are cards in the tarot deck. Because it's a fun way to collect artwork from amazing artists.
Yeah, so I'm guessing there's a lot of different kinds of them. Do you have a favorite deck?
Um, Favorite deck is going to be too hard to call. Again, I have over 78 of them around here.
Oh man, so there's a lot of like like how are they different? Are they like just different artists, or are they themed, or things like
Most
that?
of them is different artists,
Mm-hmm.
but different artists will arrange their cards in different ways or add cards that don't fit the traditional motifs of the cards. The one that I'm working with right now, which I'm loving, is this classic animation tarot.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's called the Mystic Melodies. I just got it in the mail like maybe a week ago, and it's all like 1930s
Oh, cool.
animation style.
Nice. That's awesome.
So, I mean, apart from, getting a different message and interpretation from every deck and every deck creator, because everybody's got their own intentions and what imagery they put in the cards,
Mm-hmm.
I get to collect cool art from different artists for not a crazy amount of money.
Right. Do you select different decks for certain people?
Usually, usually I'll give them a choice. I'll pull out a few decks that sort of match the energy that I'm getting from them.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, each deck having its own intention gives me an idea of what that person's going through. So, some of my darker decks will call to people in darker places. Some of my brighter decks will call to people who are either looking for that sort of joy or currently experiencing it. So I'll have 5 or 6 options available for each of my clients, and we'll sit there and we'll go through them and we'll see what matches their energy. And I'll usually pick 2 decks, one for the base information and one for some clarifying information.
Hmm. Very cool. How interesting. I didn't know any of these things. Do you have a favorite card, like a specific card that you like?
I do. Um, and a lot of people who know and understand the tarot aren't crazy about my favorite card. Everybody gets worried when the death card comes up.
Uh huh.
And it's an overwhelmingly positive card because it usually just means you've got to cut something out of your life in order to make room for something newer and better.
Mm-hmm.
But my favorite card is the Tower, which is swift and sudden change, whether you like it or not. This is usually the collapsing of foundations in people's lives. Sometimes there's tragedy or trauma associated with it because you're not ready to let go. But I think more than anything, that's a card that people usually need. People really cling to things that are either toxic or have outstayed their welcome, and it's just time to let go and build a new foundation.
Nice. Very cool. And were you doing these in person before the pandemic?
I was. I loved doing them at the theater because it was that sort of whimsical, magical environment.
Yeah.
And I could do tea and tarot sessions where I would have my clients select a cup of tea that they wanted. We'd brew up some tea, we'd sit, and we'd do a reading over a cup of tea.
That's great. I love that.
I was doing house calls and parties for a little while too. Those were awesome. I'd just go and just read person after person after person. I'm starting to get the wedding invites rolling in for me to read at people's weddings. Um,
Very
Not
cool.
something I'm crazy about because, like, a lot of times the people who go to your wedding as a couple aren't going to come out as a couple in the end.
So do you do like so you would do couple tarot reading? Is that do you do that?
Yeah,
Okay. And then they get the death card and you're like, sorry guys. Yeah.
I get to the death card or the tower card, like you guys are probably gonna have a fight from here, but do with that what you will. Nothing
Right.
stone.
Oh boy, that's great.
That's always the hard part is predicting the negative things in people's lives because
Right.
they need to hear it, but you know, it's always hard to tell somebody like something not great is about to happen.
Right. Have you had people come back and be like, "Hey, that really happened," or things like that?
I've gotten a really great response so far. I love hearing from my clients. I love having my repeat customers. Um, Good or bad, it's been great that they've come back to me, but there is some bad that people need to know before facing it. And at the end of the day, forewarned is forearmed. If you could know about this thing in advance, maybe you can prevent it, or maybe you can just prepare yourself better for it.
Hmm. Very cool. How would you say for repeat customers? Like, how often do they do it? Do they do it like once a month?
I would suggest like once a month at the most. I do have some who just have so many questions, and they're like, read me again next week, but on this topic instead.
Okay.
I think things start to overlap at that point, and I think once a month is probably the most that anyone should do it. It's not
Right.
likely that too much is going to change in that span.
Right. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, we're almost at the hour mark here. So at this point, we like to, make sure that you replug all the stuff that you have going on right now. So if anyone's tuning in later on, they know where to find you and what you got going on. So we
Awesome.
got tarot cards,
Yep.
but everything else you got going on.
Everything can be found on my personal Instagram at ALabMonster. It's just a dump for everything that I'm. I've got my tarot reading, which you can find at ALabMonster or at the Brothers Endora. Um, I've got the theater and my puppetry work, which I keep up on LI Puppet. It's slow going, but we'll get back there one day. Um, the horror podcast, the Hauntsville Cryptcast, um, which you can find us on Instagram and Spotify. I think we're on iTunes too. Um, Scared for Your Life, which is the horror film festival. We're going to be opening for submissions in April, and the festival is usually in October. And the Long Island International Film Expo, which is currently open for submissions and going to be running for 5 days this summer.
Very cool.
I don't sleep. I just do things.
You just do things. Well, with doing things, when during the pandemic, did you find any new things that you liked doing, or a weird hobby you started?
I guess a couple weird things happened. I raised a baby crow until it was old enough to fly and rejoin its flock.
Wow.
That was the most rewarding experience, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. My little gothic heart was just in love.
That's great.
I found a weird amount of time to get in touch with people I haven't spent a lot of time with, and we just started playing Dungeons and Dragons virtually. And I guess it's not really like a new hobby, but it was nice to just. We're running a campaign that's reached a year now, and I love that.
Nice. That's great. I never got into the Dungeons and Dragons thing, but I know it's like a big. Yeah, it's a commitment. Do you have a Dungeons and Dragons name?
No.
Okay. Because I just remember when I was younger, there was someone someone in a band that just used his Dungeons and Dragons name, and for years, everyone just thought that was his real name until like years later. You're like, what? They're like, wait, what was that name? That's not your real name. It's like, oh, it's Dungeons and Dragons name. We're like, oh, okay, that's.
It does become a lifestyle for some people.
Yeah.
I usually run the game, so I don't get to play a lot of characters. There is one character that I played for probably the longest, and his name was Deshka, which actually stemmed from an experience that I had at the theater, where this little, I think she was either Russian or Ukrainian, but this little girl came in with her mom, and she kept calling me Deshka and laughing about it. And her mom kept saying, "No, sweetie, you can't say that. You can't keep calling him that." And I'm like, "I'm sure it's fine. It's how bad could it be? What does it mean?" And she's like, "Oh, it means small grandfather." And I was like, if I'm not the small grandfather of the puppet theater, I don't know what I am.
That's wonderful. What do you have a favorite foreign horror movie? Are you into the
I do love a good foreign horror movie. Favorite might have to be Let the Right One In, which is I think it's Swedish vampire film. But everything is subtext. They never say the V word, and there's a lot of stuff that is implied as far as the vampire's power goes. So
Mhm.
it's always going to stick with me.
Yeah. Did you watch Squid Games?
I love Squid Game.
Would you consider that horror?
I don't know if I'd consider it horror or thriller, because it's one of those things that's just like an exciting roller coaster ride the whole way through.
Yeah. But there's a lot of gore.
There's a lot of gore. There's a lot of horrific instances that happen. It's
Yeah.
definitely on that border.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that was one of those things you watch, you're like, wow, this is messed up. Let's keep watching.
Yeah, like everybody told me, they were like, "You're not going to be able to stop. You're probably not coming into work tomorrow if you started tonight." And you know what? They were right. I got to marbles, and I was like, "You can't leave me like this. I need to keep going."
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. What was I gonna say? Are you into the Marvel uh you know universe?
Cinematic universe.
Yeah, cinematic universe.
Marvel's been a hard draw for me. I really liked it in the beginning. I was there for what, tier one. How were they breaking them down?
Iron Man.
Yeah, like Iron
Yeah.
Man, those movies. And then I started to feel like there wasn't a lot of risk. Like I'm like, all right, nothing's gonna happen to Iron Man. Nothing's gonna happen to Captain America. And now we're back to this point where nothing is off the table and everybody's in danger. So I had this like roller coaster of into it, not into it, back into it, and the new Spider-Man movie is probably going to do me in.
Yeah,
Spider-Man
I'm
favorite.
looking forward to that because that comes out on Friday.
No,
I'm excited for that.
I just can't wait to see what they do with like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man characters and putting them in the new universe.
Yeah. Some of it gets very confusing though, with all these worlds and multi-universe.
Yeah,
In the multiverse, I'm like, what? Where are we?
I can't do like the multiverse TV series like WandaVision and Loki. It's like this is too much. This is a commitment.
I did watch all of them. I really liked WandaVision. Loki I really liked as well, but it did get very confusing with all the different timelines and all this stuff. But you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I heard they brought like a bunch of other Lokis into it, and you gotta like keep
Yeah.
track of their timelines.
Yeah, there's a Loki world and all this stuff. It's very confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're at our time for our last question here, which we like to put you on the spot.
Great, love that.
Where's my special intro to this question? Okay.
The dramatic sting.
It's very dramatic. So what we like to ask is, what would you suggest or give some advice to people to stay positive in these crazy times we have going on right now?
I love that. I guess as far as what I've seen works for me, and what I usually suggest in things like my tarot readings, is to just keep tabs on the little things. Enjoy the little things. Start with just little pieces of gratitude. Like I woke up this morning, I feel good this morning, and go from there. Did you talk to an old friend today? You got people who care about you. Did you have fun? Are you doing things that are fun? Just little things.
Awesome. I love it. Simple. It's very
Yeah.
simple and just it works. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for tuning in with us. I'm glad we got to finally get you on here.
Thank you. It's been awesome catching up.
Yes, and everyone make sure you go follow Anthony on am I pointing the right way? Yeah, over there. On the Instagrams over there. And on Facebook. Get a tarot reading.
Yeah.
Follow, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Make sure you hit all those likes and all the thumbs ups, all of those. Hope you have a happy holiday.
Hope you do too.
Yeah, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
See ya.